Testing, testing, testing. Hello, my name is Adora Namigade, and I just want to come here with a different type of video. Usually, I like to sit down, write an essay, outline, convert it into a YouTube video, blah, 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 but I just need to do something different because I'm really struggling with and trying actively to work on perfectionism. Perfectionism, the tendency to think that things have to be perfect in order to be done at all. And this is such a big lie and actually something that has become such a huge block for me and inhibited a lot of my potential. And I'm really at the point where I'm just done with perfectionism being the reason that I don't do anything and don't grow anything and have to just experience the daily pain of wondering about my potential, but then not doing anything about it. So I'm someone who is artistically gifted. I love art. I grew up drawing and painting and loving both of those things. I reached a level where I was drawing caricatures of most of my high school classmates and I was just churning them out. Like people would ask me for a portrait and I would say no problem and just create it. I sold some of my paintings and that was such a great time in my life. In fact, creating art is one of the only activities besides reading, which I'm also working on getting back on track with, but creating art was one of the only activities where I would sincerely just lose track of time. I would be deep in a painting and not know what time it was, or I'd finally look at the time and think, "Oh my gosh, it's 2:30 a.m. Oh well, I'm just so invested in and in so much of a flow state with this piece I'm creating that I absolutely just have to finish it." And I'm really sad to say that I then denied myself that experience for the next decade. After I graduated from high school, I majored in journalism. I always knew I wanted to be a reporter, and so that was a gift. But I majored in journalism, I pursued reporting, and then I stopped pursuing everything not related to reporting because I started internalizing these lies, and I'm really unpacking where I even got these lies from. I think I got them from the broader culture because my mom is actually an artist and an entrepreneur who always does the things that she wants to do and has always deeply encouraged me to do the things that I want to do. My dad has also been very encouraging and was always encouraging of her and her pursuits. So I know I didn't get it from actually within my home, but anyway, I received these lies and started living these lies. Things like, you can't make money off art. Art is impractical. You should not make art because art is impractical. Um, and I just slowly stopped creating things for fun. And I started only producing for the sake of doing serious journalism and for the sake of producing income. That was a really bad lie to walk down. And, you know, I'm not happy that I believed that for so long, but at least I know now. And I now have the opportunity to spend the rest of my life correcting that lie, to spend the rest of my life growing in the gifts that God gave me and in using my creativity. Right now, I'm doing the personal artist retreat called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. I love this book and I really recommend it. It's something I tried to do by myself a couple years ago, but then I fell off track. Now I'm doing it with a friend, and doing it with a friend is really helping me actually stick with it. And it's helping me uncover a lot and just get back into my flow. But anyway, the author Julia Cameron talks about in the book how creativity is an energetic force. Creativity is an energetic force and it needs to flow. And when it's not flowing, you experience block and you experience pain because of that. It's kind of like energy in general, right? You're supposed to burn calories, for example. You eat calories and then you burn them. You exercise, you walk, you lift things up, you put them down. You use your body and you use your energy. And your health suffers when you don't use your energy. When you take in a glutton of energy, but then you're not releasing energy in turn, that ends up hurting your health. And the same thing is true for creativity. And so I've been sitting here literally for the last decade, taking in information about artists, looking at other artists, being jealous of their output, and not realizing. And I can't believe I just had this eureka recently, but again, better late than never. I'm so glad that I had it. But I was sitting here the other day and just realizing, I'm so jealous of these other artists, but they actually put in the work. How am I actually jealous? They put in the work. It's not like they just woke up and became these amazing artists overnight. Sure, they had the natural draw toward it. They had the natural talent to do the thing, but then that talent had to be shaped. It's really like anything. A good example is Usain Bolt. He used to be the world's fastest man, and he was sponsored by Puma because they saw that he was very promising. But first, in the early days of his sponsorship, he was fooling around. He wasn't training super seriously, and Puma almost dropped him. And he had to kind of get his stuff together and become more disciplined in order to actualize the talent that we all now know him as. And really, any talent is like this. Sure, you have a leg up on other people because you naturally have the skill set, but then you have to cultivate and grow the skill set. And if you don't do that, you won't actualize the potential that you have with it. It's interesting because I think part of the fear blocks are like just not knowing what will happen with the thing, right? Maybe even feeling embarrassed. There's this concept called cringe mountain that people experience when they're trying to become content creators, for example. And they're posting and posting and posting, and maybe they're getting 3 or 4 views on their videos, and it feels so embarrassing. But sometimes that's just the price you have to pay to get good, to get reps, to get better, to see where you can improve, to maybe understand what your niche actually should be. And I'm definitely finding that with art. I started drawing every day thanks to doing the artist's way with my friend. And it feels so life-giving and so fun and so exciting. Like tomorrow I'll be able to say that I drew every single day this week, and I can't believe it because how has it been so long since I've allowed myself that pleasure? Something that I've always loved to do, something that I've always known that I've loved to do, and just haven't been letting myself do. I also fell into another lie, which I'm glad to be getting out of, that basically, like, okay, since you haven't been doing this seriously in so many years, once you start again, you're going to be horrible. And because of that, there's no point in doing it. And that's just not true. You have to swallow the humility pill and kind of realize, like, yeah, sure, I'm not as good as I would have been had I been doing this consistently for the last few years, but the cold, bitter truth is I haven't been doing it for the past few years. So I can either now spend the rest of my life not doing this thing that I want to do that has been nagging at me for years, or I can decide to just pick up the pen today because I'm not going to get any better by continuing to not do it. But if I am willing to pick up the pen, pick up the brush, and start, then like who knows where this can go. And so I think tapping more into my creative spirit has been so challenging and so hard because there's no linear path for it. Like when I became a reporter, there was very much a linear path. You start in a small market, you work in increasingly bigger markets, you take on more job responsibilities, you gain more visibility, you start doing stories for national outlets. And I very much followed that path and did the stuff. And so I think I'm used to treating my work, not just my professional work, but my work, like my output as a human being whom God created to do something with the gifts that He gave me. I've been treating my work as this very linear thing that I have to do and these sequential steps and that I have to do in this particular order. And that worked for reporting. And I'm very grateful for the lessons I learned in reporting. I'll carry them with me for the rest of my life. I still do reporting. So I don't think that's a part of me that will ever die. But I think I'm really in a season now where I just have to learn to expand beyond the linear steps. I have to learn to expand beyond things going in ABC order. And I really have to create a future in a way by just using the gifts and seeing where they lead me. And it's the kind of thing where, like, fruit produces fruit. You put in that energy, you put in that work, you put out that work, and that's what brings in more work. It's kind of like when you're freelancing, like right now I do freelance journalism, so this is really applicable. You have to constantly market yourself. You have to constantly pitch to outlets, constantly let people know you're available for work, let them know the types of work you can do. Because even if they're not responding right away, you're creating this kind of store where eventually someone is like going to take you up and respond to you, and then you're going to have enough momentum and enough work where like this becomes a sustainable career. The same thing is true in my husband's career. He works in sales, and sales is really fascinating, and I take a lot of lessons from it just watching him do his work, because sales is something where you really make or break your own future as well. Some people are very successful in sales and they make a buttload of money doing sales, and some other people are not very successful in sales and feel very scarce and feel like they're very barely hanging on. A big part of sales is prospecting, reaching out to potential clients, and they might not need the services today or tomorrow, but I constantly see my husband in situations where a client who maybe ghosted him 2 months ago reaches back out and is ready to make a huge deal with him. And that's how he can stay on top of the game and stay successful. So I'm just realizing basically that output is so important, and doing things, even if doing them imperfectly, even if doing them and not immediately seeing results, like the act of doing is itself a prayer in a way. And the act of doing and putting it out there is needed. That vulnerability and that willingness and that audacity, that is what sets people apart who like just have potential from the people who end up making it in various ways in various fields. So I'm very much learning this lesson live time, and it's painful and it hurts and I feel foolish in a lot of ways, but at the same time, I know that like everything I'm doing right now, especially with my art and finally putting videos on this YouTube channel, these are exactly the things that I need to be doing and that I am called to be doing right now. So it's painful, but it's so good. And this is like exactly where I need to be. And just knowing that brings me so much peace despite all the hardship that comes with it. So thanks for listening to this reflection. I would love to know if you have ever been blocked by perfectionism and what you did about it. All right, take care.